What's the fastest you've seen a couple go from married to divorced, and what caused it? The husband had an unsolicited outburst at a family dinner. I know you guys know I do meth, and you need to back off about it. Wife didn't know. Her dad didn't know. Nobody knew. I mean, that sounds like something someone who does meth would say. Some friends, who had been dating for a few months, got married in Las Vegas as sort of a drunken joke. The girl found out she would lose a lot of her trust fund because of being married. A gaggle of 4 lawyers were flown in and got a very quick retroactive annulment. Marriage lasted 4 days. Except legally it was declared to have never existed at all. They dated for 3 more years then broke up. Not sure how long it took the divorce to actually happen, but I went to a wedding where the bride didn't go home with the groom afterwards. There wasn't any cheating, she just decided she didn't want to be a military wife. They were together before he enlisted, so I think part of it was that she wasn't ready to move away from her family. It just sucked that she waited until that day to tell anyone. Next door neighbor got married. Less than 2 months later she moved out. Said he was abusive and a drunk. A couple of weeks later he shot and killed their neighbor through the front door after an escalating feud involving the neighbor's dog getting shot with a bow and arrow. My cousin and her first husband got divorced after about a month because one of them lived in Houston and the other in Dallas, and they never really agreed how they were going to deal with that. I'm sure there were other things too, but that was the official story. I went to a wedding where the bride got drunk and the groom picked up her phone and saw that she was a co-worker during the entire wedding. He told the officiant to not file the paperwork. Great reception though. Edit. This occurred at the end of the reception as they were leaving to go to the honeymoon suite. The story is she was very drunk and her phone kept getting notifications, so he picked it up. They did not go on their honeymoon and they returned the gifts to everyone. The guests weren't told about what happened for a couple weeks as the bride was trying to save the relationship. I was also not privy to the legality of the nuptials not being submitted to the city clerk, so I can't help on that front. Years and years ago, my uncle's girlfriend planned a wedding and invited everyone and didn't tell him until the week of. I don't know the whole story about why she did it, but he went through with it and quietly got it annulled and broke up with her. I mean, what could go wrong tricking and manipulating someone into marrying you by surprise at the last minute? I know 2 couples who got married for the sole purpose of having sex together. Both marriages lasted a year combined. My friend married this woman after years of dating. They were together about 6 months. Then on the first Christmas, he got her a present and she got him nothing. Later that night she left their house and didn't come back until the next morning. Apparently she had made an account on some dating site on Christmas, met a guy, and slept with him that night. She came clean the next day, but that was the end of their 6-month marriage. It sounds like there might have been something else leading up to that Christmas. The adultery advent calendar. A relative of mine had a marriage last less than 3 weeks. They had been together for a couple years and even went to premarital counseling at the church for a few months to get ready. Their wedding was super lavish and it was clear a lot of prep and money went into it. At their wedding they announced they were expecting their first child. Everything seemed great. Unfortunately the whole thing blew up when the wife discovered he had been cheating on her for almost their entire relationship with multiple women. She found this out while in a foreign country on their honeymoon. 4 months pregnant. I know from her mom that she had complications in her pregnancy that they attribute to the stress of all of this. My wife's family's neighbor's daughter got married and threw a huge wedding day bash, like spent 50 to 70 grand. Then not even 2 weeks later got divorced. She had been cheating on her husband throughout the engagement but still wanted her special day. I heard later on that she had asked her mom if she had to live with her husband after they got married. My dad and his second wife made it like not even 4 months before she left and I never saw or heard from her again. She said she was going to give me an old Nintendo 64. She never did. A relative of mine was forced into a shotgun wedding. The bride had a miscarriage, so they got divorced a month later. 3 weeks. City girl moved to the country and hated it. She moved back to the city and hasn't left it. I work as a clerk at a family courthouse. Bride the DJ, at the reception. New record for the office pool. Edit. To be fair, the divorce was about 2 months after the wedding when the husband was told by the maid of honor. Still, wild story. I have a friend who proposed to his girlfriend like a week after he caught her cheating on him. He thought it would bring them closer and fix their relationship. Needless to say, he drove by his house on lunch a few months later and saw her co-worker's truck in the driveway. She's getting down in his house and he just drives right by. They are currently getting divorced after barely a year of marriage. They got married in the October. She left him just after Christmas the same year. She was bored. I don't know what he expected really. She'd cheated on him when they were engaged too and he'd forgiven her. Had a bit of a tip-off when we didn't see the bride at the reception. She was next door in the carriage house restroom sobbing. She had just found out, on her wedding day, that her groom had once been engaged to one of her bridesmaids. The groom was not cheating on her, but just never got around to telling her that he and one of their mutual friends had once been an item. The groom spent the reception at the bar. The restaurant staff served the meal but there was no cake cutting, bridal dance, etc. When I worked at a college, couple marries because she is pregnant, wants the baby in wedlock. Divorce, annulled I think. Actually, when baby was born the wrong color 3 months later. My neighbor got married at 19 and divorced when she was 20. Her parents got divorced while she was dating the guy and she moved in with him a couple months into the relationship. Together less than a year before they got married. Super young couple together for such a short time almost never works out. She didn't learn her lesson though because she got engaged to someone else barely a year later. They called it off and broke up before getting married though. Sadly that's the happy story of the family because her younger sister got pregnant at 16 to a guy in his 30s and then a couple years later got pregnant by him again and married him. He's currently in prison for statutory rape of a 13-year-old. Happened while they were together but they're still married with 2 children and she defends him on Facebook all the time. My cousin was married and then 3 months later he had a brain aneurysm and survived. His new wife divorced him soon after saying she wasn't prepared for that. He's now married to someone much nicer and 20 times more attractive. One of my friends from college filed for divorce 10 months after her wedding. They were never really a good match and everyone could see it. Honestly, I think she just wanted to have a wedding and be a princess for a day. Once she realized she actually had to keep the guy, she started having second thoughts. Girl I went to HS with has 4 kids from her first marriage. They divorced when they were in their early 40s. She decides she wants to get married again. She wants a religious family man and is convinced Nigeria is the route to go. She starts chatting up Nigerian guys on Facebook. Goes over there, marries a guy she just met via her Facebook husband search. After a few months of her sending money to him after she's home, she's unable to 1 month because she has 4 kids to worry about. He freaks out and they wind up getting it annulled. But wait, there's more. A year later, she's on her way to Nigeria again because she's found another guy to marry. This time she goes over there once to visit. Comes home, then basically is, I am not giving you money until we marry. She goes back over again within 6 months to marry him. A month after getting home she finds out she's pregnant. All is well. Eventually she's unable to send money because 4 kids with twins on the way and that comes first. He gets upset and they wind up divorced. She later finds out he'd been chatting up other women around the world and getting money from them, and was only going to use her for a green card to get to the States. I honestly don't feel bad for her. I feel bad for her 6 kids to have to witness their mom make stupid decisions. No idea how the hell she afforded all those plane tickets. She's given up on Nigeria now. Jamaica is on her sights now. So, I am pretty sure before long, we'll see a shotgun wedding in Jamaica. He started using meth again after years of recovery. They were married for less than a year. Kinda sad really. He's in rehab now. I don't know how long it took for them to actually get divorced, but my uncle found out his new wife had been cheating on him right as they left on their honeymoon cruise. His second wife was also a short marriage where she was cheating on him. He's been happily married to his third wife for 5 years or so now, so that's good at least. 1 week. A couple of friends seemed happily married. Next thing I know, the wife has shared a pic of herself on the beach in a wedding dress being lofted by some goth-looking long-haired dude. Her new groom. No idea.